When we think about what to call this tutorial internally at SuperHide, there was a few different ideas that we had. So everything from the magnetic type effect to the Mac OS dock font weight shifter, we kind of landed on the springy font weight effect. But either way, it's a really cool technique. And basically how it works is we have these letters that essentially listen out for how near the mouse is, and then changing the font weight using variable type to do this effect. Now this effect was inspired by Javi, so he made a tutorial using the same idea, and I want to show you how this was made from scratch, because if you just use this, you might not know how it works. So in today's tutorial, we're going to talk about how you can build your own version of this from scratch. So let's start somewhere. Basically what I've got is a very simple site at the moment, something that looks like this, and there's no kind of mouse movement or effects happening. So let's just take a look at the code so far. What we have here is a fairly basic HTML. So we've got a split screen, we've got this div with class of image in there, and we've got this kind of article on here. So we've got a H1 and H2 for our title and subtitles here. Those are the things that we actually want to actually change. Now, the main thing we need to think about as part of this is to do with the styling. And what we need is variable fonts, because this is a thing that is going to change when we move our mouse. Now, what I've done here is I've added a font face. I've used it into variable. And what I've done in my HTML is I've changed the weight to just 300. Now that's the kind of default weight, but as you can scroll down, we've got the H1 and H2 having this font variation settings, weight 100, the kind of thinnest version of the font. Now, if you don't know where to get variable fonts from, there's a few places such as Fancher. Fancher.com has this variable tab, which I can just click, and every one of these fonts is variable. We can do this kind of effect. There's also places like Google Fonts as well. We can click show only variable fonts, and there's a ton on here as well. So what we need in our project is a variable font to get this effect. So our font at the moment is Inter. We've got it here, Inter variable, and then inter.ttf, which is the file. We've got a second font in here, which we want to try out maybe later, called Martian Mono. But basically what we're doing to make the font weight thicker, especially when we're doing variable fonts, is this line. Font variation settings, and then changing the weight to be 100. If I change that to 500, for instance, and press save, what we'll see is our titles being a bit thicker. If I change it to 900, this is the thickest they can be. Basically 100 is the lightest weight, 900 is the heaviest weight. So what we want to do on our kind of final one is basically change the weight of these for each individual letter based on how close it is to the mouse. So I'm going to start with it just being far away. Far away is the lightest it can be, but what we need to do is basically measure the mouse as soon as it moves. So to do this, we need a little bit of JavaScript. So we're going to go into our code. Now I'm going to right click on the sidebar and add a new file, and I'm going to call this titles.js. Titles.js. Now I want to link my JavaScript up to my index.html, so I'm just going to quickly add at the bottom, underneath main, but just before we close the body tag, a new script tag in here with the source equal to titles.js. Basically this empty file that we've just made. Now, which things do I want to change on this page? Well, here I want to change the H1, H2s, and that's kind of it. I don't really want to do it on paragraphs. So I want to pick, first of all of the headings. So to do this, I'm going to go into my titles.js, and we'll make a constant here. Constant is headings. Headings is a name that I've just made up. But what we want to do is pick from the document all of the H1s and the H2s. So in the document, which is the page, we're going to do dot query selector all, because we want all of the ones. And what do we want to pick in here? We want to do the H1s and the H2s. So in quotes, we're going to do H1, comma, H2. Now this is very similar to what we do in CSS. If I look in CSS, I've got H1, comma, H2 to set this up. What I want to do is go over each H1 and H2 and basically do something to it. So underneath here, I'm going to pick all the headings, and then for each one, I want to do something. So I'm going to do dot for each one. I want to run something. What I want to run is a function. So I'm going to do function, which is round brackets, arrow, curly brackets. Now I also can give each one a name in here and pass it in. So for each first heading, second heading, third heading, I want to give it a name. The name I'm going to give it is in this round bracket. I'm going to call this one heading, singular. And in my curly brackets, I want to do something to this each individual heading. So headings is three things, and we're going to do it one by one. Now, how do we actually want to go about this? Well, the idea of what we're trying to do is if I think about my index.html, I want to take each individual letter and basically make its weight different depending on how far away it is. So what we're going to do is take my H1 and H2 and the other H2 and essentially split each one into its own individual tag, because then I can give it some weight. So the first thing I'm going to do is take every single part of Leela homework. So the first thing I want to do is take every part of Leela's name and media artwork and work themes and split each letter up to an individual tag. To do this, I'm going to do it in my code, in my curly brackets, and say, what I want to do is for each heading, I want to do something to this. I want to change its dot inner HTML. What do I want to change it to? Well, this is going to be equal to the current HTML, heading dot inner HTML. But then what I want to do is take that word or words and then basically letter by letter put a span tag around it. So I'm going to do this on the next line just to make it a little bit easier to read. So I'm going to do dot split, and then in round brackets we're going to add a single string. So this is an empty string which is going to say split up by letter, individual letter. Next, what we want to do is take each individual letter and put a span around it. What we're going to use is something called a map. Dot map, and we're going to run something on each letter. We're going to run a function. So a function is round brackets, an arrow, and some curly brackets. And just like what I've got with my headings for each individual heading, I'm doing something. Here I can do it for each individual letter. I want to take the individual letter, such as L, then I, then L, then A, and then put each one in a span tag. So in my curly brackets, what I'm going to do is open this up. I'm going to return a backtick string. Backtick string just means I can put some more variables in here. And in here, I'm going to put a span, and then $ curly brackets, letter, and then a close span. So what I've done here is basically inserted each letter. I don't really know what the letter is, but I'm putting it in a span tag. And once this is all done, what we have right now is a list or an array. We want to put it back into a string by joining them all together. So join round brackets and then an empty string. So essentially what I've just done here is I've exploded my sentence each time. It said, for this first letter, put it in a span tag. For the second letter, put it in a span tag. And once we're done with it all, put it back all together again. So what does this do? So let's have a look. So if we go to our page right now, it doesn't really look any different. But if we look at our inspection, if we go and inspect it, we can see each one in here is its own span tag, which is correct. It's kind of what we want. So now what we want to do is control each span tag and say, how far away is that from the mouse? So back in our code, we're going to do some more. So once we've done this, what we can say is let's pick those span tags because we want to go over each one of those and measure how far away it is. So we're going to do a constant within our for each, and we're going to pick the spans. Here, what we're going to do is make this equal to our heading dot query selector all. What we're going to select in our heading? Well, all of the span tags that we literally just added right above. The next thing I want to do is basically listen out for where the mouse is on the page and basically compare where each span is to that. So underneath, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the document, because I want to do this across the whole page, not just in the heading itself. And what I want to add is an event listener. What do I want to listen out for? Well, when the mouse moves. So in quotes, we're going to do mouse move. What do we want to do when we run a mouse? Well, we want to run a function. So here we're going to use our round brackets, arrow, and then curly brackets. Now, similar to what we have with for each, where we can pass in what is the heading, here what we can do is pass in what the event is. So here, I'm just going to put in event. I've made that name up, but this is what the browser gives us for free. In my curly brackets here, I'm just going to open them up. And again, watch out for these curly brackets, round bracket, curly bracket, round bracket. They're just basically tying it together. It's always good to indent your code and make sure your code is formatted correctly. I like to press tab. So what do we need to get for each time we move the mouse? Well, what I want to do is get the mouse position and how far away it is from each individual span. So the first thing I want to do is save the mouse position in a constant in here. I'm going to call this mouse x, and this is going to be equal to the event, which is given to us by the browser, and client x is where the mouse is within the kind of browser right now. I want to find the y position as well, of course. Mouse y, event.client y. Now what I want to do is use that mouse position and measure for each individual span. So I want to take the spans that we got from before and go over each one and see where it is. So in here, I'm going to do spans dot for each. Similar to what I've got on line number 3. I'm going over the headings, but now I'm going over the spans. What do we want to do for each? We're going to run a function. So round brackets, arrow, curly brackets. I can pass each one a name, similar to what I've got up here, headings for each heading. Here, what I'm going to do is say span. Heading, event, and span are just names that I've given. It's just what the browser has given us, saying we have something, you can call it whatever you want. Here, I'm calling it span. I'm going to open this up. And again, I've indented so we don't have these curly brackets and round brackets everywhere. And what do I want to do here? Well, I want to measure where the span is in the browser itself. And there's a way to do this using a little bit of JavaScript. We're going to get the bounds. We're going to get the box of this. So I'm going to save this to a constant called bounds. This is going to be equal to the spans get bounding client rect. And then we're going to run it. So what this is going to do for the span is basically measure where it is in space. This is going to give us things like the left position, the top position, how wide it is, what the height is of this. So here what we've got is a bit of information about the box itself. So what do we need from the box itself? Well, where the span's midpoint is. To get this, what we're going to do is another constant underneath called span x. This is going to be equal to the bounds dot left. But that's going to get the left edge, comes the wrong way around, and we're also going to then get halfway across the width as well to get it in the middle. So bounds dot width and divided by 2. Divided by 2 is just so we're not on the right side, we're just kind of in the middle. So we want to do the same with span y, bounds dot top plus bounds height divided by 2. So I know where the mouse is, and I know where the middle of each box is now. Now, of course, we're getting across using x and y. So let's just find the difference between the two. So here we're going to get the diff x. This is going to be equal to, well, where the mouse x is minus span x. So if we did this, what's the difference between the two? We're going to get the y difference as well. Diff y, mouse y minus span y. So what we've got is across and up and down. But what is the kind of distance kind of directly to it as the crow flies? Well, we need a little bit of math here. You might remember Pythagoras' theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's kind of what we're going to do now. So this, again, if you haven't done math in a while, don't worry about it. We're going to get the distance directly to this if it's on a diagonal. This looks like this. We're going to get the constant distance. This is going to be equal to math dot sqrt square root. We're going to get diff x times diff x, which is like a squared, plus b squared is diff y times diff y. And this will return basically the direct number, like how far away it is as a diagonal instead. Now what we want to do with this number is basically say, if we're far away, we want to be far away and not make it a heavy weight. But if we're near, we want to make it a heavy weight. So what we kind of have to do here is take that distance, which could be like 800 pixels, and just say it's some number, kind of a smaller number. So what we're going to say here is I'm going to make this distance normalized. Not what normalized is, it's basically just a number that we can use. So here I'm going to do normalized distance instead. I'm going to take the distance and divide it by some number. 600. Now where does 600 come from? Basically what I'm saying is if I'm about 600 pixels away diagonally, then be kind of very, very small essentially. So 600 is just kind of like how far away we should really act on this. If we want to make that kind of a smaller radius, then we change that number to be smaller. If we want it to be kind of impactful on a bigger area, we can make that number larger. We can play around that number a little bit later. Now, what I want to do one more thing is we want to basically get the weight. We want to take this distance and basically convert it into this weight of 100 to 900, somewhere between the two. So to do this, we're going to make a weight. And this, I'm just going to do a little bit of kind of math. Basically, if we're really close, like if we're 0 distance away, I want it to be 900. So everything at the moment is 900, but if we're far away, we want it to be something like 100. So what's the difference between 900 and 100? Well, let's remove 800, but then let's times it by that normalized distance. So if this is far away, then this should be 100. If this is really, really close, this is 0, and that'll be just 900. Last thing I want to do is use this way in styling up the span. So underneath, I'm going to do span.style.font variation settings. I need that to be a lowercase there. And I want to do a backtick again, because I want to match this to what this thing looks like. In quotes, weight, and then a number. So in quotes, WGHT, and then a number. What number? Well, let's put a variable in there. So the variable is going to be weight. Okay, we didn't really have much chance to check this, so we just had to kind of like keep writing this. So let's see what this has done. So we're going to save and let's have a look. So now what we get is this kind of look, which looks really, really good. So all we're doing is basically looking at where, let's say the letter E is, and then where the mouse is, and then just changing the distance between them very, very quickly. Now, what I could also do is then change this number. So like I said, if this is a small number, such as like 100, this just works on a much smaller area, for instance. Basically, we're just using a radius of 100 to basically make it thicker or smaller. Now, one thing that we could also do in here, which is something that I like to do, is all about easing. Basically, what we want to do is some kind of curve, so it doesn't feel so linear. This at the moment is linear because we're just multiplying it by a number. Now, if we go to something like easings.net, what we can see here is basically some kind of easing curve, which we could use to basically measure how far away things are. And it's something that I like to do, and I could just leave it there. I could be like, this looks good, let's leave it. What I'm going to do instead is use one of these curves, maybe something like this, and say, well, let's ease towards it so it looks a bit more natural. So let's try ease in sign. And what we can see down here is a mathematical function that we can use to basically say, what should this number be and how far away should it be? So I'm going to use this in my code, this idea. I'm not going to copy and paste this, but I'm just going to use a lot of this. Let's make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So up at the top, I'm going to make a new function, and this is going to be called easing. And this is going to be a function. It's going to be round brackets, arrow, curly brackets. What we want to do in easing is pass in a number such as x. And what we want to return is another number. So we're going to take a number and then pass in an outer number. So what we're going to do is take this bit of the function here, math sign and all of this stuff, and I'm going to use this in here. Now, what this will look like is this will feel a little bit smoother than before. And to use this, I'm going to go into my normalized distance and just basically pass it in to my easing. So here, I'm just going to put easing and pass this in. I'm going to pass the normalized distance into this. So now if we save, let's have a look what this looks like. And this should look something a bit weirder. Now, what is happening here? Notice this is kind of doing it in and out and in and out. Now, the reason why it's doing this is basically this distance, if it's really, really big or really small, is going to go beyond 0 to 1. It's basically outside of these curves up here. So this is going from 0 to 1. This is going to 0 to 1. We just need to clamp this down. So this is just a little bit extra that I like to do. What I'm going to do up here, I'm going to take X and I'm going to clamp it. This can't go above 0 and 1. So let's clamp X be equal to math max 0 to X. So this means it can't be below X, below 0. Let's replace X with math dot min and then another round brackets X comma 1. Then what I want to do is use clamp X in here. And again, this is something we don't need to do. This is just something that makes it look a little bit more natural. Here, what we're doing is just basically passing an ease in, but then clamping that ease in as well. So if we fire away now, what we'll get is this feels a little bit more natural than what it did before. And again, this is personal preference. You didn't need to add this in if you don't want. I can change this number to make it a little bit clearer. We get a nice curve to it versus this linear look to it. Now, one last thing that I'm going to just quickly talk about is notice how these are basically getting larger and smaller. The E is kind of moving around. And this doesn't look too good when we have something that just about there goes onto different lines. So how do we fix something where it goes onto different lines like this? Well, the honest answer with this font is we can't, because this is a variable font. It changes. The only real way around this is to use a variable monospaced font. So what I've done in here is I've added in a Martian mono, which is a variable font, which is monospaced. And if we use this instead, what we'll get is, let's change that font family to, what was it, Martian mono. And then let's pass in a monospace just in case. And, oh, is it called that? Yes, it is. There we go, it's appearing now. Now this won't do the thing that we had from before where it isn't flicking between lines. Again, this is just something that's a really cool text effect instead. But again, we can try and play around with this as much as possible. But essentially what we've done is we've taken where the mouse is, we've taken then the headings and split them up into lots of little boxes, and then we're measuring between the two. And if we're far away, make it one way. If we're close, make it another way. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope there wasn't too many maths and kind of Pythagoras' triangle in here. If you like this video, please give it a like, please subscribe. If there's anything you'd like me to cover in the future, let me know. A big shout out to Javi as well for giving me the inspiration for this tutorial. And there should be 2 more videos for you to watch right here.